The Celtics Talk podcast is presented by 24autogroup.com, 11 locations across New England.
What's up, everybody? POSTGAME POD. Coming to you a little bit before Super Bowl Sunday, but the Celtics have a pretty super Saturday of their own. Celtics take down the Knicks 131-104. Hard to believe this was a close game in the third quarter. Celtics tore things open. Jayson Tatum, Derek White, Kornet, like everybody just asserting their dominance. On a night the Celtics don't have two of their starters, Jayson Tatum goes for 40 points. Peyton Pritchard goes for 25. Derek White, 14 of his 17 in that third quarter. And we're going to get into that little breakdown. But, here's my big takeaway. I'm not telling you I'm off the roller coaster. I'm always going to ride that roller coaster. I'm always going to be a little up. I'm always going to be a little down after losses. But I'm done, hemming and hawing and trying to understand why they don't bring it every single night. Why there are some nights where it looks super good, and then nights like the other night against Dallas where they just have no energy. It is clear when this team wants to be engaged, when this team is laser focused, they're championship material. And we kind of knew that after last year, but I think it is just it's been different because they were just so locked in all of last season and just so dominant, and they very rarely let their foot off the gas. This year it's been way too often they've let their foot off the gas. The number is now, I think, 15-1 after a loss, and look, it's amazing how good they are. And the point differential was plus 21. That'll go up again after this victory. And as maddening as it is when they slip, the response has been great. And I just go back to it. This is 2 games this week, going into Cleveland and reasserting yourself in the Eastern Conference, and then going to New York after the Knicks have clawed their way within a game and a half, and just absolutely dropping a hammer on them and saying, you're reminding everybody else in this conference where they stand at the moment. Jayson Tatum, I think what I love best about this, so whenever I think about MSG and games inside that building, my mind always goes back to sort of the end of the Big Three era. And I just remember how much Paul Pierce loved playing on that stage. The one game that jumps to mind is the bow, right? The Celtics rally to come back against the Knicks. Pierce does the helicopter after hitting a late game shot. Nate Robinson goes flying over him, lands on his head, unfortunately. KG's taking bows. Everyone's you could tell it meant something to play well in that arena, the energy that's inside that arena. And this is the first time since maybe that Big Three era, since maybe before that, Celtics Knicks hasn't been a thing. The Knicks haven't been good, and the Celtics have been dominant lately, and it just hasn't. It feels a little bit closer now this year with the Knicks, with the roster they've constructed, kind of steamrolling towards a second round series. So maybe we're moving closer to a legitimate Boston New York rivalry again. Of course, there has to be give and take in the rivalry, and right now, all the Knicks are taking are L's because the Celtics just 2 games this year dominant. Now, opening night, you could sort of explain away and say Celtics had a lot of energy, get their rings, there's a buzz in that building, raising banner 18, and then they make all those threes. The only thing that goes wrong is they don't set the record. But tonight, the Celtics did not trail in this game. They led by as much as 35 points. They improved to 21-6 on the road. And let's get back to it. Jayson Tatum, before I started stepping off into the big picture. Jayson Tatum was just dominant in this game from the first possession, where he drives to the basket and just absolutely posterizes Precious Achiuwa after kind of getting him on a little pullback dribble. Tatum was great in this game, especially in that little run. I keep saying we're gonna dive deeper into that because I just thought that's just such a microcosm of what the Celtics are, where they been pretty good for the first half, build a 13-point lead. The Knicks knock it down to 3 midway through that third quarter, and literally in the blink of an eye, I think it was 90 seconds, the Celtics pushed it back up to 13 points. And here's the rundown. So, Celtics had just the Knicks were in the bonus because the Celtics couldn't stop getting whistles against them. Brunson's starting to feel a little bit of momentum. It is 70-67 with 6:52 to play in the third quarter, and it goes Jayson Tatum dunk on a strong drive to the basket when the Celtics just needed to stop the bleeding. Derek White gets a 3-point foul the next trip down. It was a very similar to a call that had gone against Boston late in the first half, where I think Derek brushed Brunson on a 3-point attempt. So he makes all three, and Derek White hits a layup shortly after, 77-67 at 5:19. So just about 93 seconds it took to push it back to double digits, and it didn't stop there. Derek hits a big three, he's checking his pockets. Then Tatum hits it made it look so casual from over by the Knicks bench. Hits another three. All of a sudden, it is 89-70 with 2:29 to go in that frame. Celtics finish the frame up 20. Just the numbers from that quarter. Jayson Tatum, 19 points on 6 of 9 shooting. Derek White, 14 points, 4 of 6 shooting. They scored 33 of Boston's 35 points while outscoring the Knicks by 7. They were 5 of 8 from 3-point. And just again, to me, it just speaks to, here are the Knicks. They're starting to make a little charge. Celtics are up and down. This is the grand scheme of the season, right? And then it kind of mirrored that in the game tonight. Gets close, and the Celtics are just like, no, just not on that level. And remember, this is a game the Celtics are playing without 2 starters. No Drew Holiday, KP a late scratch, and they barely missed a beat. In fact, Luke Kornet was one of the better players on the court. But again, let's go back to Jayson Tatum. My mind's everywhere tonight. 40 points in this game, 13 of 26 shooting, 7 of 14 beyond the arc, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, plus 18 overall. This is what we needed from Tatum. I was reading some of the quotes from the morning shoot-around. He's sort of acknowledged, maybe I need to do more in this stretch where the Celtics have been up and down. I think it's, we can all agree that when you're going through it, you just sometimes need your superstars to be like, hey, we got this. And really, throughout the first half, I thought Jayson and Jalen were fantastic in this game. Really set the tone with their play. You had Tatum doing the dunk on Achua. You had Jalen looking like Michael Jordan with all these little step-through moves and fadeaways. And it was a big reason why the Celtics were able to create some early space. But Tatum in that third quarter and into the fourth, I mean, he played all 12 minutes of the first, played a bunch into the second quarter. These are longer stretches than he's typically played. To the point where, literally, I think his last shot of the game was an air ball because he was just so gassed from all he had done in this game. And the Knicks fans tried to, mock him a little bit, and it wasn't happening. But the Celtics just needed this, where Tatum was like, get on my back, going to get you to a win against a top-level opponent on a big stage, a lot of eyeballs. Sort of feels like a narrative-shifting win, where, I'm not saying Tatum's going to get back into the MVP conversation, but it's a good reminder to the rest of the league, to the people that don't watch every night, that if you were just looking at the box scores lately, you'd probably be kind of underwhelming, even though we know that, Tatum has been as, good as he's been. Definitely an evolution in the playmaking, and the rebounding have come down a little bit, but typically he's been good with that. And tonight was the display that, when it matters, when the lights are brightest, he can turn it up. I had said in our pregame show, and I got lucky because my original key was going to be that, Kristaps Porzingis and how he fared back in New York. So I thought that could be a big deal. But KP's a late scratch, and so I audibled and I said, I know there's MJ the musical, the Michael Jackson musical that has been going on for 3 or 4 years on Broadway. And but tonight needed to be JT the musical, where it's just all eyes on JT, center stage, and much like Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, he can take a bow based on what he did in this one. Let's shine a light on a few others. Luke Kornet, 14 points, did not miss, 7 of 7 from the field, 12 rebounds, including 5 on the offensive glass, 3 blocks, plus 21. That's what Luke does. He's a net rating monster. You lose KP, you think, well, how are they going to match up now? And Cat's playing because he was questionable leading up to it. Luke Kornet, former Knick. A lot of New York fans got to be looking and going, wait, that's the same guy that was, in our G League program pretty much, playing spot minutes before the pandemic. He's just been fantastic. And He's just. It's. I don't even know. Luke Kornet. There are no words because he's just doing. I even stirred the pot at one point. I think too. Like he had a tip in a stretch where the Celtics were blowing this game open, and was doing typical Luke things. Peyton Pritchard with the 25 points, 9 of 14 shooting, 6 of 8 beyond the 3-point arc, plus 29. Talk about net rating monsters. Peyton was fearless. Was like some step backs. It culminates with Tatum gets Achua on the poster dunk in the first quarter. Achua falls down at one point in transition, is like laying on the 3-point line, and Pritchard ends up with the ball and just nails a 27-footer over his prone body. Poor Precious, not a great night for him. And Celtics now 37-16, 2.5 games up on the Knicks. And you feel pretty good about where they're at. Again, I'll go back to it. I would love for this team to, I can't tell you it's going to be the same energy on Monday in Miami. In fact, I'd say that I don't know what their travel plans are, if the snow's going to keep them in New York tonight. But whether they're in New York or Miami, you can find some trouble to get into, especially with the Super Bowl tomorrow. I suspect, like, the starters probably need a day off in this stretch. I think they were trying to get Tatum a day off, one of those games a few games ago. Maybe leading up to the Cleveland game, and he was on the injury report, but he played. I think it'd probably be good to find him a day, and yet, the All-Star break is looming, and even though that won't be much of a break for him, having to head out to San Francisco, maybe you can sneak him a game somewhere in here, and you start thinking there's only 2 more games, right? So, you probably want him at home against Wemby and some eyeballs on that matchup. So, does he rest in Miami? A team very much in flux. We'll see. But I don't know. Maybe he wants to be out there. Again, the greatest thing about Tatum is he's a gamer, does not take nights off, wants to be out there. And especially like this when the lights are the brightest, was fantastic. Just a really encouraging win. Like I said, remind me on Monday. So when they downshift and somehow, fall to the new look Heat, and I lose my mind and say, why can't they summon the energy? Why? Just remind me. Chris, against the Knicks and against the Cavs, when it mattered most, they were ready. And for whatever reason, it's been hard to keep this team fully engaged. But, man, when they're engaged, I want to say no one is on their level. That we know, it's going to be a tough run, regardless of how it shakes out. Cleveland has added to the weapons with DeAndre Hunter. OKC looks great out west. Who knows what happens with Denver? Well, all those things are true. And yet, man, when these Celtics want it, it's hard to imagine someone beating them 4 out of 7. All right, let's get into let's get into some more Tatum glowing from our postgame show.
The award-winning 24 Auto Group is the easy choice for your next car, truck, or SUV. 11 locations and over 2,000 new and pre-owned vehicles in stock.
Shop the brands you know and love, backed by savings and service you can count on. Plus, buy 3 and get 1 free for all tire purchases, with 11 convenient locations across the South Shore of Massachusetts.
24 has the knack to save you more. Visit us in store or online at 24autogroup.com.
The Knicks were able to cut it to 3, early in that third quarter, and then Celtics just taking over. But big picture, Scal, your thoughts on this win tonight?
A lot of good performances individually. Obviously, Tatum leads the way. I'm a big proponent of Tatum setting the tone and everyone else following, and that's what we saw today.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, he came out not only in the first quarter and set the tone early, and with that move where he in and out Karl Anthony Towns and went up to the basket and dunked on Precious. But then think about it in the the third quarter? He had 19 in the third quarter. So he set the tone also. Yeah, he was cooking. There was nothing that they could do. It was his night. He was on the big stage.
Yep.
Saturday night in New York. All lights right there on the court.
Yeah.
Spike Lee over there to the side.
Tell us the line. Tell us the line.
Oh, you know what he told? You know what he told Denzel?
Tell them.
He said, "King Kong ain't got nothing on me."
A little bit of Training Day there for Jayson Tatum.
Go watch the movie. If you don't know, go watch the movie Training Day. He ain't got nothing on me.
The second 40-point game of the season for Tatum. And Tatum and White combined for 33 of the 35 points in that third quarter. But It was also, you could see the emotion on the bench from Jayson Tatum after he came out. Like Peyton Pritchard's knocking out threes. He was loving it. He was having fun.
I think when we're the Celtics and we go through and we get busted by the Mavs, and just another example of us responding after a loss, I think people try to find reasons why we're not the champs, right? Or we're not going to defend as champs. And it's just another reminder to all the people out there that we're just a different level when we're locked in.
I will say this. This is the one thing about this was one of them games, okay? We knew this. It's Saturday night. It's prime time. It's at Madison Square Garden. The New York Knicks are on our heels thinking that they're going to try to jump us and get ahead of us. And it's one of them games. I mean, it's one of those games. And when I can't say the words that I want to say because it's usually a cuss word. So this is one of those big-time games, let me say it like that, to where the big-time players show up in big-time moments. And, I mean, Jayson Tatum was phenomenal tonight. And it was from start to finish till we finally sat on the side of the bench. But this was a statement game, basically. You know, this one of them statements like, hey, guys, you know, it's levels to this.
Sure. And think about the Knicks, right? They got smacked opening night, and everyone's like, ooh, Karl-Anthony Towns, just getting used to it. It's going to take some time, and it did. It took some time for them to get their footing, and they were playing well. But then you think, all right, we're a much better team than what the Celtics were. We're a much better team than we were when we played the Celtics. And, you know, looking by the record, the Celtics are a worse team than where they were at the beginning of the season. And then if you're the Knicks, it all comes crashing down. Like, you are now reminded once again that you are just not on the same level and you have a long ways to go.
And think about this. No Porzingis, no Jrue Holiday.
Yeah.
You know, like, we're missing two of our starters, and we put a shellacking on them like that. But that just shows the depth of this team. You know, when our guys are clicking, when we're playing the right way. And you nailed it, I think, at the beginning. You said that they have a problem
guarding the three. They don't guard the three.
They don't guard the three.
And that's why they can't beat us.
And if we're knocking those threes down, they're definitely not going to have an opportunity to beat us.
18 of 37 from three, or 18 of 39, I should say, for the Celtics in this one. And by the way, like you called the opening night, the smacking. Celtics beat them by more tonight. This was the Knicks' biggest loss of the season tonight.
Smacked them.
Checking out Jayson Tatum as he climbs the history books here with the Boston Celtics. It's presented by the Massachusetts Health Connector. Everyone needs health insurance. If you suddenly need coverage, find a plan
He passed two guys
that gets you the care you need, and get help paying for it at mahealthconnector.org. Well, when you score 40 points, Scal, that's you know, you got a better chance to pass a couple as Tatum passes JoJo White and Dave Cowens on the all-time list there to
You're in the top 10 all time.
That's crazy.
With the greatest franchise in the NBA. Like, that's incredible. And we can't even see the end of the tunnel for him. It's almost as if he's just getting started.
Right, he got 10 more years of this.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And again, he seemed to do it with full control tonight too. You know what I mean? Like, especially in that third quarter, where he could do pretty much whatever he wanted, and he was dictating the game.
So we've been seeing this lately. If you go back to the beginning of the year, I think you could say the worst Tatum game was maybe that Warrior game, and they were blitzing him and they were putting different coverages on him, and it was a while for him to just figure it out. Okay, where are they coming from? Are they trapping me? Are they not trapping me? All of a sudden they're in the drop coverage and they're blitzing me. Right now, would you say, like, you analyze the game, for the last 10 games, I haven't seen someone put a coverage on Tatum that he hasn't been able to handle.
That he's not comfortable handling.
Right? And he does it so easy.
He's reading it. Yeah, and I think that's the main thing about it is that we're going to see the 40 points, okay? We're going to see that. Everybody's going to see that when you watch SportsCenter or whatever. You watch the highlights of the game, you're going to see, oh, Jayson had to read the bottom line. It's going to say Jayson Tatum had 40 points.
Yeah.
But it's the way he went about doing it, and it's the way he's been playing. Nothing is like pressing. He's not pressing to make a play for you or for himself. He's just going out there reading the game, playing the game. It's like one of those moments is you could see the game slowing down for him. It's almost like he's moving in slow motion. Everybody else is trying to scramble and figure out what he's doing, but he's just like, okay, no, everybody else is in slow motion, excuse me, and he's at a different speed. He's processing it a whole lot faster. And I think he doesn't get enough credit for that, for being able to play with his teammates, not only score, but then also get his teammates off and know when to turn it on and when to turn it off. So I think he just came out tonight with a phenomenal mindset from the start and set the tone. And usually that's what New York do, New York, big city, get drink.
Yeah, and the Knicks made a run in the third like they always do, but Tatum and White had the big answer in the second half of the third quarter, and that thing got tight, and it was, you snapped your fingers, next you know they have a 20-point lead. Big-time performance from a lot of guys, but obviously this night belongs to Jayson Tatum.
And one of those guys would be Luke Kornet. Went 14 points, 12 rebounds, and he's standing by with Abby back at Madison Square
I can't wait for this interview.
Luke, I want to start at the beginning. When did you find out you were starting in this game?
Layup lines. Peyton came up and said, "You know that?" And I was like, "Oh, all right, rough." Yeah, so layup lines. I didn't know. Yeah, I don't know. I guess KP's sick or something. Yeah, get well, KP.
How were you able to dial in? You had 2 blocks. I mean, right off the jump, and then that start as a group for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a fun start. It was a fun atmosphere. I mean, I feel like everyone just came out with a lot of energy, and I feel like our defensive effort, especially early, was great. Just trying to be physical and make plays.
They cut it to 3 in the third quarter. You were dealing with foul trouble. Everybody a little off with the officiating. How are you guys able to regain your composure?
Yeah, I mean, just sticking to it. JT going bananas. Those things kind of happen. I feel like we just got it clicking, and yeah, I mean, just did a good job of executing and kind of staying away from fouling. That kind of got us into trouble, but as we kind of took that away, and I'm just offensively, I feel like we just found a rhythm.
You guys held Karl Anthony Towns under double digits. How did you do that?
I mean, it's just a group effort. I feel like JT did a great job. And I feel like just communicating and shrinking the floor on him, and just trying to make it hard. And, he's going to play again, have a great game against us, but he's kind of trying to stay the course and trying to make it difficult.
We talked this morning about this building. Is it sweeter winning here?
It's a lot of fun. It's a great day for, never mind. Yeah,
you get a Cellian too.
I was going to go with botany as a garden reference because we have little shares of that. But it's just a great atmosphere, and it's a lot of fun to win on the road in general. And so it's a great win. It's a good team.
I think you deserve all the flowers, Luke.
Oh, that was a great, yeah.
Thank
nice.
you. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. I wish I had a punter to say it back, but I don't. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
If a player makes all the shots in the game that he takes, did he take enough shots? I mean, I would say he should have taken more shots, but
Luke?
Just anybody.
Luke took enough. Luke took enough shots.
How was it playing this game?
It was great. It was great for us to respond the way that we did, especially with some guys out tonight. I like the way we were connected on both ends of the floor. Our toughness showed tonight.
Jayson, you were aggressive from the jump. What was your mentality?
We lost last game, so then finding out that KP was out right before the game, knowing that it was going to be a challenge, and I saw Denzel Washington sitting courtside, so I was excited about that.
Had to put on a show.
Tried to.
What do you feel like gets you going on those stretches? Is it like the longer minute runs that you have there? Is it free throws? Like, what do you feel like kind of sparks some of those more explosive scoring stretches you go on?
I mean, usually they come when I may play the whole quarter or a longer stretch. But yeah, you see some free throws going, maybe a couple looks in transition, then the tougher shots feel a little bit easier.
How do you kind of sustain through those longer stretches of minutes? Do you know they're coming? Is there a way to prepare for that? Like, off the floor, like what kind of prepares you for that?
I try to take care of my body as much as I can, eat the right things, drink a lot of Gatorade, and take some naps.
Jayson, you've played here a lot, but just the atmosphere, it seems like a movie, for regular folks, just to be in that and hear the defense, and they want to stop you and you quiet the crowd. What's that like? Do you ever take that for granted, that whole just kind of feeling?
No, it's besides Boston, it's probably the best place to play. They got all the celebrities, but they also have that. They got an edge about them, right? They know basketball. They're passionate. They chant and cheering the whole time. So it is a special place to play.
But is it an advantage? I mean, because a lot of times you hear that the opponents actually thrive on going into Boston as well. So sometimes, to New York as well. So sometimes it might go the opposite way, or how do you look at that?
I mean, I don't know. You got to ask the Knicks players that.
You mentioned the bigs. How important were they? I mean, Karl-Anthony Towns was held on 10 points.
Big Luke played his ass off today. So I was, he kind of really set the tone to start. He's contesting, blocking shots, rebounding. Obviously, Al did his thing, and then Big Neem came in the game and was doing, making the right reads, getting offensive rebounds. He knocked his free throws down. So, even X came in and gave us a little bit. So, kudos to those guys. He probably found out he was going to start during layup lines, and we adjusted and played the right way.
Joe said he felt like this was the most connected you guys have been throughout the 48 minutes. Did you feel that way?
It's probably up there. I think from the start to the finish, even when they went on the run, we did a really good job of responding. We weren't flustered or anything like that. And on both ends of the floor, when we needed a stop, we did. When we got a rebound, we needed to hit some shots. When we needed to make the right reads, we did all those things.
When you're having a scoring stretch like that, how present are you in the moment of just making the right reads, doing your usual stuff, and how much are you thinking about Madison Square Garden, the people that are there, the magnitude of the stat line you're putting together?
No, it's always about making the right read. And if that's shooting the ball 5 times in a row, that's what it got to be. If it's hitting one of the bigs in the seam, or if it's hitting D. White in the dunker, or if the nail is helping hit the guy in the corner or whatever, that's what it has to be. So just living in that space, regardless of where you at, who you playing against. Not like I'm trying to prove anything out there. Just playing the game the right way.
Peyton said that he was the one asked to tell you that you'd be replacing Kristaps in the starting line. When did he track you down, and what was your reaction that Kristaps was a late scratch and you'd be in the first unit?
Yeah, it was during the layup lines. He was coming back. He's like, you're starting? And, I don't know. That happened sometimes. I just kind of told myself before the game that, I just was not throwing away my shot. Trying to be young, scrappy, hungry, and I just wasn't going to throw away my shot.
7 for 7. Did you shoot enough?
I feel like guys did a great job, finding me and stuff. But frankly, I'll just never be satisfied. So I feel like, it's a great environment. We're playing in what some people would say is the greatest city in the world, and we're just, trying to be collectively some minds at work.
They shot 8 for 27 inside the paint in the first half. What went into kind of making those lower percentage shots?
Honestly, I just feel like our physicality and just kind of hopefully trying to make things, hard on them, and I feel like we did a good job of that. Yeah.
You ran out of references.
Yeah. No, not yet.
Where do you feel like that one ranked among some of the better games you've had in your career?
I feel like just my intention and physicality were good. Obviously, I think sometimes just plays just sort of lined up. It's obviously a lot of fun playing here, and I feel like that environment just kind of makes it an exciting game. And JT played great, and I feel like the crowd kind of gets you into it. But it's important to kind of just stay focused and try not to, or heed not the rabble that screams revolution, because those fans they don't really have your interest at heart.
What do you maybe enjoy about the double big lineups and kind of your role in there?
It's a lot of fun. I feel like defensively, just having that size and presence. I think Al's great. Obviously, KP's a lot of time with that, and then being able to spend some time with Nemi on the floor. It's a lot of fun. Honestly, we look forward to it, and I definitely enjoy it. I just think just defensively and kind of just trying to crash the boards and be aggressive in that side of things. But fortunately, we have a lot of bigs. I feel like that have good feel for the game and know how to just space and work off each other. So, that works pretty well.
Does anything change when you are not coming off the bench? Normally you get to kind of take the game in and kind of see how it's going, but when you're starting, is there any advantage to it or just mindset shift?
I think there's a little something just knowing that you're starting. I feel like sometimes it's nice where a lot of times when you're coming off the bench, it's more going to be just for a stint, kind of one per half, and I feel like there's a little bit more ability to just sort of get in the flow of the game. And generally you're just kind of playing more and get kind of a better feel for it, but I try to just have consistent intention with all that. But I do think just the product of kind of playing more and just being able to see kind of more things that kind of just allows to kind of get into the game a little better and get a feel for things.
obviously starting your career here. When you come back, do you think about, kind of how far you've come and, just, where you're at now compared to then?
Yeah, it's always fun coming back. I mean, honestly, sometimes as like the years pass, it's kind of funny looking back to like just remembering like, driving in for games and like that I did live here, and it feels like a long time ago, and just a lot of stuff in my life has happened since then, like from the player that I was then. But I'm just kind of grateful for my time that was here, and I feel like it was a great start to my career, and then to be able to come back to being in Boston right now and like to where we've been, and having won a championship and now trying to go for another one. I feel like, honestly, just like kind of grateful to be able to come back and see it, and obviously it's just like a fun environment to play in and that side of things. So it's cool in that respect.
All right, up next, like we said, Miami, Monday. Celtics get a little sunshine, much-deserved sunshine after this win. Get out of the New York snow. Get away from this New England snow that's invading our, as you're probably listening to this. Maybe you're listening as you're shoveling your driveway. And we'll say, like, now, the Jimmy Butler's out. Andrew Wiggins is in. We know how much trouble the Wiggins gave the Celtics back in the 22 finals. We'll see how Miami looks with the new pieces. There's still no shortage of talent there. It's just, are they all pulling towards the same goal? And, what does Miami's future look like? And that's probably the challenge for them the rest of the year, is kind of figuring out what are core pieces. But you got to bring it because, again, guys playing for individual, even if it's just individual numbers, that could be a tricky team. And you want to see the Celtics kind of go into this break with some momentum. I don't think it's going to be hard to get up for Wednesday's game with Wemby coming in, but they certainly need to find a way to just kind of find a carrot to take them through this Miami game and build off this win in New York. Like I said, I'm intrigued to see what the rest situation looks like. Celtics don't like the rest guys. We'll see where they're at health-wise, whether KP's feeling better after missing this one due to illness, whether, again, Drew Holiday's back out there after missing 2 in a row now, or whether some of the core guys get a little bit of a rest after all the energy expended against New York, Cleveland, even coming back against Philly. But a whole lot more good than bad over this last little stretch. You can feel and see a lot of what makes this team the favorite to be repeat as NBA champion is on display. So enjoy the Super Bowl, everybody. Go like, go subscribe, go check out the YouTube page. We'll catch you Monday night after the Heat.